to the stage, Carl. Thanks for being here.
Oh, this is my prezo without the notes. I am just gonna pull out a little piece of paper so I have some quick notes just in case. Do I need them? What do we think? I'm just gonna roll with it. All right, down works. Down works. Down does not work, but let's see here. Hey, there we go. So a number of years ago, I know this is hard to believe, but I used to work in outside sales, and I was specifically focused on backup and recovery software. And I found myself working on an opportunity that really had a huge impact on my life, because had we won it, it would have fundamentally changed my life. And not just my life, it would have changed my family's life. And it really would have changed the trajectory of the company that I worked for at the time, actually. Now, you'll notice I said had won, not did win, which is the tragic part. But when we lost that deal, we didn't lose it on functionality, features, or price. We lost it the minute our prospect asked us if our data center was SAS 70 compliant. Who even knows what that means? Doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is we didn't, and we couldn't show that customer that we were, or even that we were in the process of becoming compliant, which actually might have been enough for us to win that life-changing opportunity. And so it was a moment in my career that I realized that compliance, things like HIPAA, CJIS, CMMC, all these things that we hear floating around in the ether, were going to become a huge factor in how companies of all shapes and sizes attract and win that new business. So with that said, my name is Carl Bierke, and I'm the CEO of a company by the name of Compliancy. And we're a software as a service solution, and we have built and managed and developed 100% of our own code. And our goal is really to make compliance preparedness and adhering to the things that businesses need to, rules, laws, regulations, and standards, a competitive advantage for small and medium-sized business. Now, compliance requires a lot of different stuff. It requires specialized software to map your evidence and goals to the standards that you need to meet. It requires specialized compliance expertise. You need to have some smart people that are experts in this field. And it requires a lot of time and money. These are not things that small business owners have in excess. Now, today's governments, standards bodies, internal teams, they're creating more things to manage too in the forms of compliance frameworks, not less. And they continue to grow in complexity. The job is getting harder. So on average, a small business will spend 120 hours a year on just federal regulation compliance alone. Excuse me. If that's not bad enough, the actual cost associated with that is about $12,000 per employee per year. If you then think to yourself, you know what, maybe we're just going to remain non-compliant and you get caught, that's even worse, at up to $32,000 per employee per year. So it's crystal clear to us at Compliancy that America's 33 million small and medium-sized businesses need a whole new approach to compliance and compliance management that actually fits their needs, their budgets, and the resources that are available to them, because they're not necessarily enterprise in scale. And that's where we come in at Compliancy. So we bundle together our SaaS solution, our software, along with compliance expertise, which allows us to manage and solve any given customer's compliance challenge, no matter how complicated, because we're providing both components. The other part is, rather than a traditional project-based approach to compliance, right? Hey, I'm going to take the test, you pass or you fail. We use an operational approach. So we do a little bit every day, and that allows us to track, monitor, and measure progress, as well as providing meaningful business intelligence information to business owners and managers. So now the question becomes, is this a problem worth solving? And the answer, I say, absolutely yes. So when we look at our very specific total addressable market, just here in the US, it's about $2.8 billion today. By 2028, which is not that far out, time is going quickly, we expect it to be about, excuse me, almost $6 billion. And that's just here in the United States. Now, in general, in the compliance market, we're not the only people doing this. There's a lot of competitors. And some of them, as you can see here, they're very well known, and they're extremely well funded. And so the question that a lot of people ask is, why do you feel as compliancy that you can compete against companies that are worth billions of dollars? Well, the answer is, in a lot of cases, we don't actually compete against them. So first and foremost, the solutions that we're looking at here, they're really focused on large and medium enterprise. In many cases, we're functionally just calling on different prospects, with our prospects being in that SMB space. In some cases, when we look at these solutions, what we find is that there's some technology, really key technology, that makes it viable in the small and medium business space, which they just totally lack. So from a technology perspective, even though they're well-funded and they're well-known, they don't play very well in our space. For others, there are very complex and frankly, very expensive. And for some, the licensing model is just too difficult to readily understand to be able to transact quickly. So when we say that, that obviously gives us, our platform has been built to solve that problem. But the other part, and this is really critical, and I want to emphasize it again, part of our competitive advantage against these companies is that we're not just the software piece. You don't need to have the internal staff in-house for compliance, because we represent that compliance expertise. And that is super critical, because small and medium-sized business has no interest in being compliance experts. They want to focus on what they can drive to market, and they don't want to be. So who are we? Who are these handsome fellows here? And why do we feel so passionately that we are the right people at the right time to solve this problem in the right way? Well, collectively, that's the clicker. I'm going to sum it up very quickly. We've got 20 years of experience in compliance. We've got decades of experience in selling to our very specific target market that we are hyper-focused on. I will say, just in terms of traction, it's a metric that everybody wants to know. We're actively engaged with 5 partners. We are signing customers every single week. We're engaged with 2 OEM partners, and our current sales pipeline is about 20K in MRR. So we know this message is resonating. If we do the math, and we assume a 30% take rate of our solution set in any given account and just a 5% market share of accounts, it's about $150 million ARR business. And I can actually stop there beyond the fact that, hey, we are going to look to raise some money to build out sales, marketing, we talked about that earlier, and some key integrations and some key certifications. So with that said, I'm happy to stop, having gone a little bit over.